Rob Seacoke, Future Farm. Today's innovations, tomorrow's solutions.
Well, Scott, this is getting pretty close to chopping time. In fact, some parts of the country today are actually well into chopping their silage. And you know, the biggest factor involved in making sure that you can feed nutritional silage to either your dairy or beef cows is actually chopping at the right time. Can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that go into the right timing of silage chopping?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, first thing I think of course is the drier we get, it's going to have a very drastic effect on quality. And when we think about it from the fiber side and the starch side, starch content and availability of the starch. And so we want to make sure we're identifying how we target and make sure we hit that window in the best way possible.
Exactly, and we don't always have the best opportunity to chop right at the perfect time. You know, sometimes you work with a contract chopper and they can't always get there at the right time. And so what are some of the things that a farmer can do to extend their harvest window?
Absolutely, I think it's become, it's becoming harder, with the change in genetics. There's a lot of plants that die a little bit faster. And so we want to make sure we're identifying those hybrids that are going to extend that window. So hybrid selection is key. There's also some foliar application things we can look at to make sure we're having a healthy plant all the way through that window. Because as you said, sometimes it's not just custom harvest, it's Mother Nature doesn't cooperate.
Exactly, yeah, you can get rained out of a field just as easily and be 10 days from being able to get back in. So then, from a foliar aspect, there are probably two approaches to helping extend that harvest window on the foliar side. Can you tell us about each approach?
So we want to look at maybe like a fungicide application through, just anything. I think the simple way to say it, Jim, is healthy plant is better nutrition, better quality, period, no matter what you're doing. And so if we want to add maybe just something to keep a fungicide or something to keep that leaf disease down, but also adding in nutrients that might be able to extend that window as well and a better quality from that standpoint.
Exactly. So you have enough nutrients within the plant, whether that's nitrogen or otherwise, that while everything is getting shuttled into the ear, there's still enough to maintain proper leaf health and keeping that plant nice and green and healthy and high moisture. And then on the disease end, the more the disease is able to progress, the more senesced or dead tissue that you'd have in the plant, and maybe the faster the plant shuts down trying to finish up before for its grain production before we get too late into the season.
Absolutely, and we also want to think about the idea of what level is my grain drying down in comparison to the plant itself. That's also a component of making sure we're identifying hybrids that can extend that harvest window as well.
Right, exactly. The coincidence of chopping time for the plant moisture as well as where that milk line falls. And what is the right milk line for the grain as we're looking at determining chopping timing?
All right, so we want to take a look at that milk line when we start to see it in that 50% milk line. We need to really start thinking about it. This corn is a little bit further probably than we would want to be looking at, but I've definitely seen, if anything, I'd rather probably take it a little bit on the dry side, maybe just a little bit, than the wet. Be a little bit more of a challenge from a packing and standpoint, but either way, you really want to hit that sweet spot if all possible.
Exactly. Scott, if somebody's interested in learning more, where can they go to find out more information?
So to do that, you can go to seedcorn.com. That's the Master's Choice website. You can actually go to the Dairy Dive podcast, and we have just a lot of information out there, tech sheets available, anything that somebody wants.